What if I told you a single penny could be your ticket to financial freedom? Not a myth. Not a joke. A real, solid penny, minted in 1969, bearing a tiny D mint mark, has recently shocked collectors by reaching a staggering value of $831,000. Yes, you heard that right. 1 cent worth nearly $1 million, and here's the twist. That rare coin could be sitting unnoticed in your pocket, your drawer, or inside a jar you haven't touched in years. Let's uncover the story behind the 1969 D Lincoln penny and why it's sending shockwaves through the numismatic world. Welcome to Numismatic Now. This might be the most valuable 10 minutes of your entire life. You're at your kitchen table, sorting through old coins. Some are dull, some are shiny, most just look ordinary. And then, there it is. A worn-out 1969 penny with a D under the date. You almost toss it aside, but what if that's the coin? The one that turns your quiet retirement plan into a legacy of wealth. That's exactly what happened to a few lucky individuals who realized too late, or just in time, that they were holding one of the rarest modern pennies ever struck by the US Mint. Let's be real. Most people ignore pennies. But the rare few who don't, they're changing their lives. So, how did this coin, barely worth a cent, become the crown jewel of copper? Let's rewind history. In 1969, the US Mint was under pressure. The country was in the throes of the Vietnam War, the space race was on, and inflation was creeping in. Amid all this, the Denver Mint produced millions of Lincoln cents, but only a microscopic fraction of these coins turned out to be incredibly rare and valuable. The reason? A doubling error, but not just any doubling. The most famous variety is the 1969 double die obverse. But collectors have now started paying outrageous sums for near-pristine 1969 D coins because of two reasons: scarcity in high grades, and the growing demand from elite collectors chasing complete Lincoln sets. Still with me? Good. Because here comes the turning point. Let's talk numbers. The 1969 D penny that recently sold for over $831,000 was not made of gold. Not even silver. Just ordinary copper and zinc. What made it extraordinary was its condition and rarity. Mint state red condition, full details, barely a scratch. Now here's where it gets exciting, and a little scary. There could be others out there. Undiscovered. Unclaimed. Potentially worth even more. Let that sink in. One coin. One moment of awareness. That's the difference between throwing away a fortune or claiming it. Now pause. Be honest. When's the last time you even looked at the date on a penny, or are you the type who thinks, it's just 1 cent? What could it possibly be worth? Well, tell that to the guy who sold his for nearly $1 million. How you can tell if your 1969 D penny is worth something life-changing? First, look for the date, 1969 with a clear D mint mark below it, then check the condition. Does it still have its original red color? Is it shiny with minimal wear? These are signs you might have a mint state coin, and that means serious value. Now, be careful. There are a lot of 1969 D pennies out there, but most are worth just face value. The gold lies in high-grade examples. Coins graded MS-65 and above are rare. And that's where the big money is. Next step. Don't just walk into a pawn shop, you need to get your coin graded professionally by PCGS or NGC. That's how you protect your value and attract serious buyers, dealers, collectors, even auction houses. Speaking of auctions, remember this: one of these coins hit $831,000 at public auction. Imagine what could happen if a new high-grade example is discovered. Could yours break the record? Now here's the real cliffhanger. That we've seen the 1969 D penny cross the $800,000 mark. But experts believe the coin's value could continue to climb. Demand is exploding. Wealthy collectors are on the hunt. And fewer pristine coins are being found each year. So here's the million-dollar question: is the next life-changing 1969 D penny sitting in your possession right now? You'll never know unless you check, dig out those old jars. Search through that forgotten stash. Look at every single penny minted in 1969 with AD. Because even one could turn your financial future upside down, in the best possible way. You sift through it, expecting nothing, but there it is. A 1978 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark. You think, just another old coin. But what if I told you, that tiny piece of copper could be worth over $800,000 today? Yes. One ordinary-looking penny, now valued at $827,000 in the current market. Now here's the real question, do you have one in your home right now, and you don't even know it? Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, you'll learn how to identify the ultra-rare 1978 no-mint mark penny, what makes it worth a small fortune, and how people just like you are turning forgotten change into life-changing wealth. Before we begin, let me warn you, after watching this video, you'll never look at pennies the same way again. Let's rewind the clock. The year is 1978. America is transitioning, inflation is rising, and millions of Lincoln pennies are being struck at the Philadelphia Mint. These coins were never intended to be special. They were mass-produced, everyday currency, until a few slipped through the cracks. That's where the story begins. Most 1978 pennies bear a subtle but critical detail, either a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. But the ones minted in Philadelphia carry no mint mark at all. And here's where it gets interesting. Among the countless no-mint mark coins, a tiny handful have unusual characteristics, flaws, misalignments, and rare die varieties that were never meant to leave the mint. You see, collectors aren't just paying for a coin. They're paying for scarcity, for error, and for history. Now, some of you might be wondering, alright, but how do I know if mine is valuable? Great question. Here's what you need to check. First, look for sharp details on Lincoln's profile. Blurred features can mean an early or late die strike, which increases value. Second, inspect the date and lettering. Doubling in the text, especially in the words, Liberty, or, In God We Trust, can be a gold mine, or should I say, a copper jackpot. Third, flip the coin. Examine the Lincoln Memorial on the back. Misalignments, missing details, or raised lines might indicate an extremely rare die error. Now here's a pattern interrupt for you. If you just ran to grab your penny jar, don't worry. We'll wait. But seriously, go grab it, because the real treasure might be in your hands right now. Now, back to business. In 2024, one 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, with a rare error, sold at auction for $827,000. Let that number sink in. That's a house. That's your child's college tuition. That's the end of debt. All from a single coin you might already own. But here's the twist, not all 1978 pennies are created equal. Some are only worth face value. Others might fetch $20, $30, or even a few $100s. But that one rare gem, that's the $1,000,000 miracle. So how do you spot it? We're getting to the exciting part. But first, let's take a quick step back, because what's more important than spotting rare coins? Knowing how to sell them the right way. Let's say you find the rare 1978 penny. Now what? First, don't clean it. That's right. Polishing it can destroy its value. Collectors want coins in original condition, even if that means it looks a little worn. Second, get it professionally graded. Services like PCGS or NGC will authenticate your coin and give it a certified grade. Without this, collectors won't take you seriously. Third, use a trusted auction house or coin dealer. Don't fall for online scams or sketchy buyers. The right network can turn your find into generational wealth. Now here's your cliffhanger. What if I told you that the 1978 penny isn't the only one with this kind of value? In fact, there are other common year pennies sitting in wallets, drawers, and piggy banks across America, coins worth tens of thousands, even millions. And most people throw them away without a second thought. In our next video, we're going to break down 5 overlooked penny years that could be hiding gold level value. But for now, I want to leave you with this: you don't need to win the lottery. You don't need to invest in the stock market. You just need knowledge, patience, and the courage to take a second look at what's already in your possession. That 1978 Lincoln penny, the one everyone ignored, is now changing lives. So, is it time you checked your change? Yes, you heard that right. One simple 1985 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, the kind that's been hiding in plain sight, recently reached a shocking value of $822,000 in the collector's market. The real question is, do you have one? Because if you do, your next vacation might be to the Maldives, not the gas station. Today, we're going to walk you through the truth behind the 1985 Lincoln no mint penny, how to spot a valuable one, and why coin collectors are paying outrageous amounts to get their hands on it. But more importantly, we'll uncover how this tiny penny could completely change your financial future. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll not only know what to look for, but you might just be holding a fortune in your fingers right now. Let's rewind to the year 1985. Ronald Reagan was president, Back to the Future had just hit theaters, and pennies, well, they were just pennies, right? Wrong. The 1985 Lincoln penny, struck in Philadelphia and missing any mint mark, was part of a regular issue. But within that regular issue, a rare error occurred. Certain coins were struck with incredibly sharp detail, flawless copper finish, and, here's the key, a specific die alignment that collectors now obsess over. These elite examples, especially those in near-perfect condition, are fetching 6 to 7 figures at major auctions. Let's pause here for a second. When was the last time you checked your coin jar? No, really, think about it. That rusted Altoids tin in your drawer could be hiding your next house payment. Or your retirement. Here's what's wild, many of these valuable 1985 pennies are still out there. Not in museums. Not in vaults. In homes. In pockets. In junk drawers, and most people are throwing them away or spending them on gum. Now let's get into the heart of this story. Why is this penny worth over $800,000? It's all about rarity, condition, and demand. Coin collectors, especially those obsessed with Lincoln cents, are constantly hunting for specimens with full step details, unblemished surfaces, and zero mint mark, which means it was minted in Philadelphia, one of the oldest and most respected mints in the United States. But here's where it gets spicy. Some of these 1985 no mint mark pennies were double struck, off-center, or struck using misaligned dies, creating unique anomalies. These kinds of errors, they can skyrocket the value of a penny from 1 cent to hundreds of thousands of dollars, and if your penny is in what collectors call mint state 67 or higher, you're not holding pocket change. You're holding a treasure. Need an example? Just last year, a high-grade 1985 no mint mark Lincoln penny sold for $822,500 at a private auction. The collector called it the best preserved Lincoln cent he had ever seen. And yes, the seller walked away debt-free, with enough left over to buy a beach house in Florida. Feeling a little itchy to check your wallet yet? If someone gave you a penny every time you ignored a coin lying on the sidewalk, how rich would you be right now? Turns out, just one of those ignored coins might have been your golden ticket. Here's how to know if your 1985 penny is worth thousands, or even millions. No mint mark under the date. That's your first signal. Check for a bright red color. The more original copper shine, the better. Look for sharp, detailed features, especially around Lincoln's jawline and coat. Avoid scratches. Mint condition matters more than you think. Get it graded. Professional grading from PCGS or NGC can multiply your coin's value by 10 or even 100 times, and here's a powerful tip most people miss: keep your rare coins in a protective holder. Oils from your fingers can destroy thousands of dollars in seconds. The time to act is now. Coin collectors are more aggressive than ever. With inflation, economic uncertainty, and rising demand for tangible assets, rare coins have become one of the most sought-after investments of 2025. Don't let that 1985 penny sit another day in the dark. Now here's the twist you didn't see coming. There's another penny from the 1980s that just sold for over $1 million. And it's even rarer than the 1985. Want to know which one it is? Want to know how to recognize it before it disappears forever? Yes. A 1986 Lincoln penny, with no mint mark, recently surfaced with an astonishing market value of $815,000. And here's the twist: thousands more may still be hiding in plain sight. Maybe even in your change jar. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for, why this penny is so rare, and how you can turn your pocket change into generational wealth. Now let's go deeper, because this is no ordinary coin. The year was 1986. Ronald Reagan was in the White House. The Challenger disaster had shaken the nation. But in the world of coins, something strange was quietly happening at the Philadelphia Mint. Thousands of Lincoln pennies were being struck, as always. Business as usual. Or so it seemed, but one penny slipped through the cracks. A penny unlike the others that it had no mint mark. And hidden within it, was a die alignment error, a copper composition anomaly, and off-center strike features that would not be discovered until decades later. Now here's where it gets exciting. Most 1986 pennies were made from zinc with a thin copper coating. But this particular coin? It was struck on a solid copper planchet, left over from years prior. A ghost from the past that somehow made its way into a modern run, and here's where the fear kicks in. Many collectors had this exact penny in their possession, and spent it. Let that sink in. Someone may have paid for a candy bar with a coin worth nearly $1 million. Have you ever accidentally thrown away a fortune? That's the chilling question this coin forces us to ask. This legendary 1986 no-mint mark penny was first identified by a seasoned collector who had been hunting rare errors for over 30 years. The moment he saw the weight, he knew something was off. It didn't feel like zinc. It felt heavier. He weighed it, 3.11 grams. Pure copper. He sent it in for grading. PCGS certified it as MS68 red, a near-perfect condition. Add the error strike and the missing mint mark, and suddenly, its value exploded. Now ask yourself this: have you ever weighed your old pennies? When was the last time your scale told you were rich? Probably never. But it might, if you weigh your pennies. No mint mark under the date. A rich, reddish copper tonia weight of 3.11 grams, not the usual 2.5 sharp, uncirculated detail, especially around Lincoln's hair and coat off-center strikes or doubled lettering. The more of these you check off, the closer you are to a life-changing discovery. SOY is a 1986 penny with no mint mark worth over $815,000, simple. It checks every box of numismatic rarity, historical error, minting anomaly, misused planchet from another era, high condition, grade. Low population collectors aren't just buying a coin. They're buying a once-in-a-lifetime anomaly. Something they may never see again. And here's the cliffhanger: more of these coins are believed to be out there, untouched, unfound. Let's imagine for a moment, you're sitting at your kitchen table. You open a small box of old coins from your father's drawer. You pick up a penny. No mint mark. You place it on a scale. 3.11 grams. Your hands tremble. You check the details. They match. You send it for grading. Weeks later, the envelope arrives. It's real. You're not just someone who got lucky. You're now part of coin collecting history. Now pause. Breathe. That moment could be yours, but only if you start today, because every week, more of these rare coins are discovered, and sold. And as more are found, the top dollar values begin to drop. Scarcity drives price. But with every new discovery, the clock ticks. If you wait, your hidden fortune could turn into just another penny in circulation. So what do you do next? Check all your 1986 pennies, especially the ones with no mint mark, weigh them with a digital scale. Look for that 3.11 grams copper weight, inspect for errors, doubling, off-centering, and sharp strike quality. Send any suspicious finds to a grading service like PCGS or NGC, and if you want to sell, don't go to your local pawn shop. Work with trusted auction houses who specialize in rare coins, places like Heritage Auctions or Great Collections. They understand the true value and will bring the right buyers. What's more exciting than finding a treasure? Realizing it was in your hands all along. Your journey to wealth doesn't need to start with crypto, real estate, or stocks. Sometimes, it starts with a penny. This isn't about luck. It's about knowledge. It's about taking action, because the next $1 million coin won't just belong to the guy on TV. It could belong to you. So don't leave your future in a drawer. Open it. Search it. And claim what's yours. That's not a typo. 1 cent. Over $800,000. Now before you rush to dig through your change jar, stick with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for, and how to potentially change your life with a coin you never knew was valuable. This isn't just about a penny. This is about what you're missing, and what it could cost you. Let's rewind for a moment. It's 1988. Gas costs 91 cents a gallon. The average American is making $24,000 a year. And the U.S. Mint releases the standard Lincoln Memorial cent with a small d beneath the date, Denver Mint, nothing unusual, right? Millions were struck. Pennies like that are everywhere, or are they? What collectors didn't realize at the time was that a small number of these 1988 D pennies were hiding something. A microscopic detail that would turn them from pocket change into a life-changing payday. Imagine being the person who cashed in a penny for nearly $1 million. Think about that. While others tossed theirs into tip jars, someone else bought a house. But what makes this coin so special? Now here's where things get intense. The 1988 D penny that's worth serious money contains a rare mint error, a transitional reverse design that in plain English. The front of the coin says 1988 D, but the back doesn't belong in 1988.C. The U.S. Mint made a subtle change in 1989. They updated the engraving on the reverse side of the penny, Lincoln's Memorial. But due to a minting mistake, a few 1988 D coins were accidentally stamped with the 1989 reverse design, a die that wasn't meant to be used that year. This small difference, invisible to the average person, makes all the difference to serious collectors. And here's the kicker, these errors are so rare, only a tiny handful are known to exist in high-grade condition. And the coin that recently fetched $810,000, it was flawless. Mint state, let me ask you something, how many times have you looked at a penny and thought, it's just a penny? You could be walking past a small fortune every single day. Scary, isn't it? I mean, if pennies could talk, they'd probably say, yeah, I'm rich, don't spend me on gum. Or maybe, don't you dare throw me in the fountain for luck, I am the luck. But seriously, we ignore these coins daily, and it's costing people real money. So, what exactly should you look for? Step 1, flip the coin. Look closely at the letters FG, the designer's initials, near the Lincoln Memorial. If the FG looks different or pushed closer to the building, you might be holding a transitional reverse error. Step 2, check for mint condition. Scratches and wear. Not good. A clean, sharp penny with no damage. That's what brings the big money. Step 3, get it authenticated. Don't try to sell it raw. Contact a reputable coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. A graded, verified 1988 D transitional reverse error penny is what attracts top buyers. This isn't just about making some cash. It's about financial transformation. Some people are flipping these coins and walking away with enough to pay off mortgages, send kids to college, or retire early. And here's the urgency, collectors are actively hunting for these coins right now. As time passes, high-quality examples will vanish into private collections. The window to cash in is closing. Let me ask you again, are you absolutely sure you haven't seen one of these in your house? Now here's something even crazier. There's another Lincoln penny, struck just 1 year apart, that's even rarer than the 1988 D and could be worth millions, and no one's talking about it. In my next video, I'll reveal that coin and how a man in Ohio found it stuck between his car seat cushions, and turned it into a $1.3 million payday. So if you want to stop leaving money on the table, or in your pocket, hit subscribe, stay alert, and start checking your change like your life depends on it, because for some, it just might. Right now, collectors are offering as much as $804,000 for a specific 1990 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. Before you toss another penny into a tip jar or vacuum it off the car floor, listen carefully. That dull copper coin sitting in your drawer might just be the key to the life you've always dreamed of. So buckle up. Because by the end of this video, you'll not only understand why this coin is worth so much, you'll know exactly what to look for, and how you can turn your forgotten pocket change into serious cash. Let's start with a simple question. What makes a coin valuable? It's not always about age. Not every old coin is worth money. It comes down to rarity, demand, and one powerful factor, errors. Now, back in 1990, the U.S. Mint produced billions of Lincoln pennies. Most of them completely ordinary. But a tiny number were struck without a mint mark on the obverse. That small detail has caused chaos in the numismatic world. Normally, pennies minted in Philadelphia during that year should still have no mint mark, right? Well, no. Starting in 1985, even Philadelphia coins began showing the P mint mark on certain denominations, but not the penny. So what's so special about this 1990 version? It's not the Philadelphia coin that's valuable. It's the 1990 penny from San Francisco, intended to carry an S mint mark, but somehow, some of them slipped through the cracks completely blank. Imagine the panic when the mint realized that proof coins from the San Francisco Mint, highly detailed and never meant for circulation, were being discovered with no mint mark at all. Suddenly, this wasn't just a penny. It was a ghost coin, a printing mistake, a 1 in a million anomaly, and collectors went wild. Let's talk numbers. In 2012, one of these error pennies sold for over $19,000. And by 2023, the price had skyrocketed to an astonishing $804,000 at a high-end coin auction. Now you might be wondering, what could possibly justify that kind of price tag for a single cent? Well, scarcity drives value. Only a handful of these 1990 no-mint mark proof pennies are confirmed to exist. That means every time one resurfaces, it's like a lightning strike in the collecting world, but there's more. These are proof coins, struck with sharp details, mirror-like surfaces, and intended only for collectors. So when one shows up without a mint mark, it's like a Picasso missing its signature. Rare. Shocking. Irresistible to serious buyers, and here's where it gets urgent. As more people become aware of these coins, the chances of one lying forgotten in someone's home are dropping fast. That penny could be in your house, in a coin jar, or quietly sitting inside a family collection. Have you checked lately? Here's a wild thought. What if you've already spent one of these $1 million pennies on a coffee or dropped it in a vending machine? Ouch. That's one expensive snack, but don't beat yourself up, because now, you're here. You're paying attention. And this next part might just change your financial future forever. Now let's break down what to look for. First, examine your 1990 pennies carefully. You're searching for a proof coin with no mint mark. That means the coin should have a mirror-like surface, sharper, high-quality details compared to regular pennies. No S mint mark under the date. Use a magnifying glass or take it to a professional. Coin shops and online forums can help authenticate what you have. And if you do find one, don't rush to sell it. Get it graded by PCGS or NGC, top-tier grading services. A certified coin in high grade can fetch hundreds of thousands of dollars at auction. And remember, the story of the 1990 no-mint mark Lincoln penny isn't just about money. It's about opportunity hiding in plain sight. It's about everyday people, just like you, uncovering massive value in the most ordinary places. One coin. One moment. One decision, to look just a little closer. The road to wealth doesn't always begin with big investments. Sometimes, it starts with a single penny. So ask yourself, will you be the one who finds it, or the one who throws it away? And it's shaking the numismatic world to its core. Now, before you go emptying every coin jar in your house, let's dive into why this specific 2002 penny is turning ordinary Americans into overnight millionaires, and how you might be holding on to a fortune without even knowing it. This isn't just about coins. It's about opportunity. It's about knowing when life is quietly offering you a shot at wealth, and having the wisdom to take it. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for, how much it's worth, and why now is the time to act. Stay with me, because the next 10 minutes might just change your life. Let's rewind to the year 2002. Gas was under $2. Flip phones ruled the world. And the US Mint quietly struck millions of pennies, most of them completely ordinary. But then, a tiny mistake happened. A mistake so small, so subtle, that it slipped past the eyes of machines and humans alike. A 2002 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. No D. No S. No P. Nothing at all, just Abraham Lincoln's profile, staring straight ahead, unaware that he'd just become the face of a collector's dream. Here's where it gets exciting. This penny is not supposed to exist without a mint mark. That's what makes it extremely rare. And when something is rare in the world of coins, it becomes valuable. But when it's this rare, it becomes life-changing. In early 2024, one of these 2002 no-mint mark pennies in pristine, uncirculated condition sold for a staggering $800,000 at a private auction. And guess what? That sale lit a fire. Collectors, dealers, even average folks like you and me, everyone started digging through old jars, drawers, and bankrolls hoping to strike gold in copper form. Now let's pause here. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you checked the date and mint mark on your spare change? Exactly that we throw pennies away. We ignore them, but here's the truth. Those forgotten coins might be your ticket out of the 9 to 5 grind. Imagine what you could do with $800,000. Pay off your mortgage, retire early, buy that lake house you always dreamed of. Or start that business idea you've had sitting in the back of your mind that you're probably wondering, but how do I know if my penny is the right one? Hold tight. We're about to get there. Your 2002 penny should have no mint mark under the year. That means no tiny D for Denver, no P for Philadelphia, just a clean 2002 date. Now, that's step 1. But here's the catch. This coin isn't just rare because of the missing mint mark, that it's also about condition. The $800,000 coin wasn't scratched, bent, or worn down. It was graded mint state 69 red, which is just 1 point away from perfection. That's like finding a classic car with 0 rust and only 10 miles on it. So, if you find one, handle it with care. Don't rub it. Don't clean it. Place it in a soft cloth or airtight container. Then, get it professionally graded by a trusted coin grading company like PCGS or NGC. These coins are being discovered and sold right now. Collectors are on the hunt, auction houses are watching, and every day, another coin is scooped up from circulation, never to be seen again. Let me hit you with a hard truth. If you wait, you lose. The longer you delay, the fewer of these coins remain out there in raw, ungraded condition. This isn't a myth. It's not a fantasy. It's a documented sale of a simple penny for almost $1 million. So the real question is, why not you? Why not go check your coins today? Why not be the one who turns 1 cent into a legacy? Before we wrap up, let me leave you with this. Wealth doesn't always come from stocks or real estate. Sometimes, it comes from recognizing hidden value in the things others ignore. That dusty jar on your kitchen shelf, it might just hold the key to your freedom. Don't miss it. Don't underestimate it, and whatever you do, don't stop searching, because the next great discovery might be sitting right in your pocket. This is real, right now, a 2060 Lincoln penny, yes, the same coin you probably overlooked, is shaking up the coin collecting world with a current market value of $789,000. Why is this coin skyrocketing in value? How can a penny, worth just 1 cent, be the key to a wealthier lifestyle? And more importantly, do you have one of these sitting quietly in your pocket change? In the next few minutes, I'll walk you through the extraordinary story behind this penny, the secret details that make it worth a fortune, and how you can identify one today. But be warned, people who watch this kind of video tend to check every coin they own, and they often regret throwing away the ones they ignored before. So stay with me, because by the end, you'll know exactly what to look for, and what to do if you find one. Let's rewind back to 2006. The United States Mint struck millions of Abraham Lincoln pennies at the Denver Mint that year, pennies that looked completely ordinary, same copper-plated zinc composition, same iconic profile of Lincoln, same D mint mark tucked under the year, but in this massive batch, a tiny handful were struck with errors so rare, so precise, that collectors would later label them once-in-a-generation finds. These weren't just mistakes, they were miracles, born from misalignments, double dies, and rare planchet anomalies. Now here's where it gets exciting. Point 1 of these 2060 Lincoln pennies sold for a staggering $789,000 at auction. That's not hype. That's public record. Why? Because of a dramatic double die error on Lincoln's profile and inscriptions. Under magnification, his face appears ghosted, duplicated. The words, "In God We Trust," show shadowed impressions. And the mint mark itself, the tiny D, reveals doubling so sharp, it looks hand-carved. Collectors know this kind of error doesn't just slip through the cracks. It escapes fate. That it's a coin that defied the odds, and now holds the power to change yours. Now I know what you're thinking. Wait, I've had hundreds of those pennies. Did I just toss away a Lamborghini? Yeah, probably, but don't worry, there's still time, because many of these coins are still out there, hiding in forgotten jars, dusty drawers, and boxes labeled junk change. Let's get into how you can tell if your 2060 Lincoln penny is the jackpot. First, grab a magnifying glass. You don't need a fancy one, a simple jeweler's loupe will do. Now examine the date. Focus on the number 6. On the rare error coins, the 6 often appears doubled or thickened. Next, look closely at Lincoln's eye, mouth, and jacket. The most valuable errors show clear doubling, especially along the contours of his head and coat. Then move to the motto, "In God We Trust." On the error coin, the letters display what collectors call mechanical doubling. It almost looks like a ghost image hovering just behind each letter, but here's the most important detail, that mint mark, the tiny D. On authentic high-value error coins, the D is often misaligned, slightly rotated, or doubled, clear signs that it was struck in a moment of mechanical failure. Now pause for a second. Imagine finding those signs on your penny. Imagine realizing your 1-cent coin is worth more than your house. Sounds impossible. It's not, because it's already happened. And here's where things get really interesting, because what if I told you that even a penny without visible errors can still fetch thousands, if it has this one hidden feature? Keep watching. This is the part most people miss, and it's costing them everything, beyond visible errors. Coin value depends heavily on condition. This is where mint state or MS grading comes in. If your 2060 Lincoln penny has never been circulated, if it's flawless, shiny, and crisp, it could be graded MS 67 or higher. At that level, collectors and investors go crazy, because rarity isn't just about how many were made. It's about how many survived. Out of the millions minted, only a microscopic fraction exist in pristine condition today. And when one appears at auction, it sparks bidding wars that drive the value through the roof. So how do you protect your coin? First, avoid touching it with bare hands. Use cotton gloves or soft cloth. Second, store it in a protective case or coin flip, preferably acid-free and non-PVC. And third, get it professionally graded by a trusted service like PCGS or NGC. This step alone can turn a coin worth a few hundred into a verified asset worth thousands, if not hundreds of thousands. Now take a deep breath, because if you've made it this far, you're not just a casual viewer. You're someone who understands the value of knowledge, the power of curiosity, and the potential to turn forgotten coins into financial freedom. And here's the final twist. There's another Lincoln penny, minted just 3 years after this one, that's currently rising in value faster than any other in history. I'll be revealing that coin in my next video, along with how collectors are secretly buying them up before the prices explode. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications on so you don't miss it. Check your coins today, because wealth isn't just something you earn, it's something you discover, and sometimes, it starts with a single penny.
What if I told you that an ordinary-looking penny from 1962 could be worth hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars today? Not because it's made of silver or gold, but because of something far more surprising, its copper color. Yes, that soft, rich, unmistakable hue that collectors now call the vintage copper shade. This isn't just any 1962 Lincoln penny we're talking about. We're diving deep into the Denver Mint version, marked with a small D, that's been turning heads across the coin-collecting world. And here's the catch. Most people still have no idea what to look for. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly why these pennies are being snatched up, and how one small detail could turn pocket change into real profit. To understand why the 1962 D Lincoln penny is so valuable today, we need to go back to its roots. Struck during the height of post-war economic optimism, this coin represents more than just currency. It's a piece of American history. In 1962, the U.S. Mint produced over 1.79 billion Lincoln cents at the Denver Mint. That figure might make you think these coins are common and worthless. But as with all collectibles, quantity is only part of the equation. Condition, color, and historical context are where the real value hides. The 1962 Lincoln cent was made primarily of 95% copper and 5% zinc, a composition that gives the coin its classic red hue. However, not all copper pennies age the same. Some develop a deep chocolate brown tone, others turn a dull mix of red and brown. But a small fraction, especially those stored away properly for decades, maintain a bright, vibrant red luster. This is where collectors start paying serious attention. Now, let's talk about the ones with the legendary copper color shade, a rich, fiery red with orange undertones that seem to glow under natural light. These aren't your average red pennies. This shade forms under very specific conditions, when the coin is struck cleanly on a high-quality plancher and immediately preserved in a low-humidity environment, often by accident. It's this unintentional preservation, combined with the natural patina of time, that creates a look no modern coin can replicate. So why are collectors willing to pay top dollar for these copper-toned 1962D pennies? The answer lies in scarcity. Finding one in mint state condition, graded MS65 or higher, is already difficult. But finding one with that bright copper color, no carbon spots, no fingerprints, and clean fields, that's exceedingly rare. Most of the 1962D pennies we see today are worn, dull, or tarnished. But when a pristine one hits the market, competition gets fierce. Let's talk real numbers. A standard circulated 1962D penny might fetch only a few cents, but a bright copper specimen graded MS65 red by PCGS has sold for over $150. In MS66 red condition, the value jumps closer to $400. And for an MS67 red, you're looking at prices north of $1,000 in some auctions. And remember, these values don't even touch the emotional value for seasoned collectors who see these coins as trophies from a bygone era of American minting. A recent example comes from a heritage auction sale, where a 1962D penny in stunning, red MS67 condition sold for over $1,200. Why? Because it wasn't just about the grade. It was about that vibrant, untouched copper tone that made it stand out in a sea of dull brown cents. If you're wondering how you can identify one of these prized coins, here's what to look for. Start by checking the mint mark. It should be a clear, well-defined D just below the date. Next, examine the color under natural light. If the coin radiates a consistent, bright copper-red tone, with no black spots or green corrosion, you may have something special. Flip it over and look for clean wheat lines and sharp details on Lincoln's portrait. If it passes these tests, consider having it professionally graded, and once you've found one worth keeping, preservation is everything. Use acid-free holders. Avoid handling it with bare hands, and store your coins in a dry, temperature-stable environment. Moisture, air, and skin oils can strip away decades of preserved luster in days. As we wrap up, remember this. The 1962D copper shade penny isn't just a collector's item, it's an investment. While modern coins flood the market, older cents, with unique characteristics like this, are quietly increasing in value. The market is shifting. Collectors aged 30 to 70 are now searching not just for old coins, but for those that stand out. That penny in your drawer might be a treasure, but only if you know what to look for. So the next time you come across a penny from 1962 with a Denver mint mark and that unmistakable copper glow, pause. You might be holding something far more valuable than you ever imagined. And the real question is, how many of these are still out there, hiding in plain sight? We're diving deep into a coin that many overlook, yet collectors across the United States are fiercely hunting down. The 1964 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, particularly those with a unique copper color shade, has emerged as one of the most sought-after small treasures in modern numismatics. But here's the catch. Not every 1964 penny is valuable, and unless you know exactly what to look for, you might miss your chance at a rare fortune. Stay with me, because what you're about to learn might forever change the way you look at loose change. The story of the 1964 Lincoln penny begins in a turbulent yet transformative time in American history. The country was mourning the loss of President John F. Kennedy, the Civil Rights Act was passed, and the U.S. Mint was dealing with a rising coin shortage that affected everyday commerce. In the midst of this, the Lincoln cent, first introduced in 1909, continued production in massive numbers, particularly in 1964. That year, over 6 billion pennies were struck at the Philadelphia and Denver mints. But here's the twist. Many of these coins, especially the ones without a mint mark from Philadelphia, were produced hastily, leading to subtle anomalies and a striking variety in tone and finish. Among the billions, a very small number of these, 1964 pennies emerged with a rich copper-red hue, deep, brilliant, and unmistakably vibrant. These copper-toned coins aren't just beautiful, they're valuable, and the reason why might surprise you. So what causes this unusual copper brilliance? It all comes down to preservation and environmental exposure. The 1964 Lincoln penny was composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc, making it highly sensitive to oxidation and surface changes. Most circulated coins quickly turned dull brown or darkened over time, but a few, very few, survived in what's called red condition. These pennies retained their original mint luster, untouched by the hands of time, air, and moisture. In numismatics, the difference between a brown, and red coin can mean the difference between pocket change and a small fortune. Collectors crave the red ones, especially from 1964, due to their age and rarity. A red 1964 Lincoln cent with no mint mark in mint state condition is not only scarce, it's a highlight in any collection, and the market is proving it. In recent auctions, pristine examples graded MS66RD and above by PCGS or NGC have fetched astonishing prices. One such penny sold for over $7,000. Another, in MS67RD condition, reached $9,400. These are real sales, happening right now, because the demand is growing while the supply continues to shrink. If you're serious about coin collecting, or just starting to realize the treasure that might be sitting in your home, it's time to pay attention. First, search for the 1964 penny with no mint mark. Focus on those with a strong, full strike and a copper-red brilliance that looks almost freshly minted. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe under good lighting. A glossy surface with no signs of wear is what you want. Once you find one, handle it with gloves. Even the oils from your fingers can tarnish the surface and ruin its value. Store it in a coin flip or airtight capsule, away from humidity and heat. If you believe it's in mint condition, consider having it graded by a professional service, like PCGS or NGC. Grading authenticates its value and can significantly increase its worth at auction. But here's where things get even more exciting. As more collectors awaken to the value of these pennies, prices are climbing. The market doesn't lie. Coins like these are being recognized as serious investments, not just historical keepsakes. And unlike stocks or digital assets, rare coins carry tangible, time-tested value. The 1964 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, especially in red copper brilliance, is more than a coin. It's a hidden asset. It's a piece of American history that now commands the attention of savvy collectors and investors alike. As supplies of high-grade specimens dwindle and demand intensifies, this unassuming penny stands poised to become one of the most valuable small coins in circulation. So before you dismiss your spare change or overlook that old coin jar, take a second look. That glint of copper just might be your golden opportunity. The question is, will you recognize it when you see it? Because someone else will, and when they do, they'll be the one cashing in. Not just any penny, but one from 1979, stamped with a tiny D under the date and wrapped in a mysterious copper hue that seasoned collectors are chasing like gold. Most people overlook it, tossing it into jars or sliding it into vending machines. But there's something extraordinary about certain 1979 D Lincoln pennies, especially those with a rich, distinct copper shade. And if you have one in your possession, you could be holding far more than just a single cent. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll not only understand why this coin is so valuable, you might just rush to check your collection, or change jar before someone else beats you to it. To truly understand the allure of the 1979 D Lincoln penny, we need to step back into American coin history. The Lincoln cent, first minted in 1909, to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, has long been one of the most collected coins in the U.S. mint's history. By 1979, The penny had undergone several changes, most notably in its metal composition due to rising copper prices. The 1979 D penny, struck in Denver, was part of the last generation of full copper cents before the U.S. Mint officially transitioned to a copper-coated zinc composition in mid-1982. That makes the 1979 D one of the final years where the penny was made with 95% copper and 5% zinc, a composition that gives it that deep, rich copper tone when properly preserved. But here's where it gets interesting. Some 1979 D pennies have surfaced with a noticeably darker, red-brown, or even chocolate-like copper appearance. These aren't artificially toned or tampered with. Their unique shade is often the result of excellent preservation, controlled environmental exposure, and original mint luster reacting subtly over decades. When collectors find these coins in pristine or near-pristine condition, especially in uncirculated or red designations, they're seeing more than just copper. They're seeing opportunity. Rarity, in the world of coin collecting, isn't always about a coin being scarce. It's about condition, demand, and how many collectors are hunting for the same prize. And right now, the market for high-grade 1979 D copper shade Lincoln pennies is red hot. Let's talk numbers. A standard circulated 1979 D penny might only fetch a few cents over face value. But coins graded MS66 or MS67 by PCGS or NGC, particularly those with a stunning copper-red color and original mint brilliance, have sold for $500, $700, even over $1,200 in online auctions. Just one example, a 1979 D Lincoln penny, graded MS67 red by PCGS, commanded over $1,400 due to its flawless surfaces, perfect strike, and deep copper luster. And here's the twist. Most people would never think to get a 1979 penny graded, assuming it's just another common cent. That's exactly why many of these treasures are still hidden in plain sight, waiting to be discovered by someone who knows what to look for. If you're a collector, or even just someone curious about coins, there are a few things you need to do right now. First, examine your 1979 D pennies under good lighting. Look for coins that have retained their original reddish tone, free of fingerprints, discoloration, or scratches. Coins stored in rolls or sealed holders for decades are your best candidates. If you spot one with exceptional luster and no visible wear, it might be worth submitting for grading. To preserve these coins, always handle them by the edges, use cotton gloves, and store them in acid-free holders. Exposure to air, oils, and moisture can degrade their condition quickly, which means the value can drop just as fast. And remember this. As more collectors begin to understand the growing value of high-grade Lincoln pennies from the late 70s, the demand, and the price, will only continue to climb. These coins aren't just historical pieces. They're appreciating assets in the world of numismatics. So before you dismiss that old 1979 penny sitting in your drawer, take a second look, because that humble cent with a D mint mark and a rich copper glow might just be the investment you never saw coming. And if you don't look now, someone else will. Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out a handful of change, and spotting an ordinary-looking penny, only to discover it's worth hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars. You've likely seen it before, the 1980 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. But what if I told you that a specific version of this coin, especially those with a rich copper color, is now turning heads across the collector world? These aren't just relics of the past. They're treasures hiding in plain sight, and their value is climbing fast. But what makes this coin so special? And why are seasoned collectors paying top dollar for it today? Stay with me, because the story behind the 1980 Lincoln penny is far more dramatic and profitable than you think. To understand why the 1980 no mint mark Lincoln penny is generating so much buzz, we need to go back to its roots. This coin was minted at the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally did not use a mint mark during that time. It features the familiar profile of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor D. Brenner, a design that has graced the penny since 1909. But what makes this year stand out isn't just the absence of a mint mark. It's the composition and a striking visual trait that only a keen eye will catch. In 1980, pennies were still being struck in 95% copper and 5% zinc, a composition that would soon change just 2 years later due to rising metal costs. That means every 1980 penny you hold is a true copper-era artifact. But here's where it gets fascinating. Some of these coins, due to the way copper oxidizes over time and subtle minting variances, display a distinct deep copper or reddish-orange hue. These copper color shade coins don't just look beautiful, they signal originality, superior preservation, and often higher collector value. Collectors have noticed that these vividly toned 1980 pennies, particularly those in uncirculated or near-mint condition, are far rarer than previously believed. The brilliance of the copper tone, combined with a pristine surface free of scratches or wear, makes these coins exceptional. They stand out in a sea of dull, darkened cents, and when found with no mint mark, they immediately become the centerpiece of a collector's Lincoln cent portfolio. But let's talk real numbers, because this is where things get exciting. In circulated condition, the average 1980 no mint mark penny might fetch a few cents over face value. But in MS65 red condition, where the coin maintains its original luster and vivid copper tone, values can skyrocket. Some recent online auctions have closed with prices ranging from $150 to $500, depending on the grade and eye appeal. A stunning MS67 specimen, fully red and virtually flawless, has fetched over $1,200 in private sales. And these values aren't stagnant, they're climbing, especially as more collectors chase high-grade pre-1982 copper cents as both historical artifacts and metal investments. So how can you identify one of these copper gems? First, check the date. 1980, with no mint mark beneath the date, confirms it was minted in Philadelphia. Next, examine the coin under a bright light. If you notice a rich coppery red hue with a glossy surface, you may have something valuable. Use a magnifying glass to look for sharp details on Lincoln's hair and coat. Any signs of wear can reduce value, but if the details are crisp and the coin shines like it was just minted, you may have a high-grade piece in your hand. Preservation is everything. If you suspect your coin has value, avoid touching it with bare fingers. Use cotton gloves and store it in a coin flip or capsule. Exposure to air, oils, or humidity can quickly tarnish the copper surface, destroying potential value. If you're unsure about its grade, consider submitting it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. A certified grade can make all the difference when it's time to sell or trade. The 1980 Lincoln penny with no mint mark and a radiant copper shade isn't just another piece of pocket change. It's a time capsule, a collector's dream, and increasingly, an investment opportunity. With copper prices rising and coin collectors turning their attention to high-grade specimens, from the late copper era, these coins are gaining momentum. Their rarity isn't just in age, but in condition, and those with original red brilliance are becoming harder to find with each passing year. So next time you sort through your change jar or visit a local coin shop, take a closer look at those 1980 pennies. One of them might just change your life. Because in the world of numismatics, the smallest details can lead to the biggest discoveries. And here's the question you need to ask yourself. Have you already passed one by without knowing what it was worth? This coin may already be in your home, quietly resting in a jar or an old drawer. The 1984 Lincoln penny, with no mint mark, especially those found in a rich copper shade, is emerging as one of the most underestimated treasures in American numismatics. Collectors are racing to find them, values are skyrocketing, and yet most Americans have no idea this penny even exists, let alone how much it's worth. So why are experts placing such high value on this unassuming coin? What secrets does the copper shine reveal? Stay with me, because what you're about to learn might lead you to uncover a small fortune hidden in plain sight. Let's begin with the backdrop. The 1984 Lincoln cent continues the beloved portrait introduced in 1909, Designed by Victor David Brenner, honoring the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. By 1984, the U.S. Mint had shifted away from solid copper to a copper-plated zinc composition. This change began in mid-1982 due to rising copper costs. But even 2 years later, a number of coins emerged with a deeper, richer copper hue that collectors now covet. These copper-colored 1984 pennies without a mint mark were struck in Philadelphia. They stand out not just because of their look, but because of how that look came to be. Environmental exposure, unusual plancher mixes, and unique toning processes caused certain coins to develop a remarkable copper sheen, deeper, warmer, and more vibrant than the common dull brown or reddish hues. It's not artificial coloring or tampering. It's natural, and when preserved correctly, it becomes a breathtaking sight. Now here's where it gets more intriguing. Among these copper-toned 1984. No mint mark pennies are rare variants that include doubled die errors, especially in Lincoln's ear. Known as the 1984 doubled ear, this variant alone has fetched hundreds of dollars in circulated condition. Combine that with the copper toning, and you've got something truly exceptional. The rarity is undeniable. While over 8 billion Lincoln cents were minted in 1984, only a fraction carry this copper luster. Even fewer exist in pristine, uncirculated condition. That's what's creating the surge. Serious collectors are on the hunt, and when demand collides with scarcity, value climbs fast. Just take a look at the current market. A copper-shaded 1984 penny with strong eye appeal recently sold for $250 on eBay. Raw, not graded. Another, with minor doubling visible under magnification and a flawless copper tone, hit $465. Graded MS-66 examples with vibrant copper coloration have crossed the $800 mark in auctions. And if you stumble across a 1984 doubled ear penny with rich copper toning in mint state, you could be holding a coin worth over $1,000, but these coins are often passed over, mistaken for ordinary cents. So how do you identify one? Start by examining the color. True copper pennies have a bold reddish-orange tone that remains vibrant under light. Use a magnifying glass or loupe to inspect Lincoln's ear for doubling. Check the fields of the coin for minimal scratches and wear. And always weigh the coin. A genuine copper cent should weigh approximately 3.11 grams, while copper-plated zinc pennies weigh only 2.5 grams. That small difference is key. Preserving these coins is just as important. Avoid cleaning them. Any attempt to polish or scrub will destroy their natural toning and drastically reduce their value. Store them in acid-free holders or coin flips, and keep them away from moisture, air, and direct sunlight to prevent corrosion. So, is the 1984 no mint mark copper penny really worth chasing? Without a doubt. This isn't just a cent. It's a symbol of a shifting era in American coinage, a bridge between the solid copper coins of the past and the plated ones of today. Its value is growing rapidly, not just because of its beauty or scarcity, but because of what it represents: opportunity. For collectors, for investors, and for anyone wise enough to look beyond the surface. Right now, people are finding these coins in old change jars, pocket collections, even tucked away in forgotten drawers. And with the market heating up, those who act now will be the ones reaping the rewards later. The window is open, but not for long. Every day, more of these pennies are being found, graded, and locked away in private collections. Don't let this chance slip by. The 1984 Lincoln penny with no mint mark and that rare copper glow might be sitting right in front of you, waiting to be discovered. Will you be the one to find it? Or will someone else cash in while you overlook a treasure hiding in plain sight? Stay sharp, stay curious, and keep searching, because sometimes one penny can truly change everything. But to collectors and savvy investors, it's a rare gem hiding in plain sight. The 1988 Lincoln penny without a mint mark, especially those with a striking copper shade, has ignited a wave of demand across the numismatic world. Every day, these Coins are being plucked from pocket change, old jars and forgotten drawers, and turned into small fortunes. But time is running out. The market is shifting. Collectors are racing to grab every high-grade example they can find. The question is, do you have one of these valuable pennies without even knowing it? To understand why this particular penny is so sought after, we need to rewind the clock. The 1988 Lincoln cent was struck during a pivotal era in U.S. coinage. By then, the U.S. Mint had already made the transition from 95% copper pennies to a more cost-effective copper-plated zinc composition. This shift began in 1982, but by 1988, production across all mints had stabilized, at least on the surface. Now, here's the twist. The 1988 Lincoln penny without a mint mark was minted in Philadelphia. Unlike coins from Denver or San Francisco, Philadelphia coins of this era typically carried no mint mark, a detail that often leads collectors to overlook them. But that would be a costly mistake, because some of these no mint mark pennies were struck with die varieties and anomalies that make them both rare and valuable. And when they exhibit an unusual coppery tone, something deeper and richer than the standard appearance, they become even more desirable. So what exactly is this? Copper color shade that has collectors buzzing? Most 1988 pennies were made with copper-plated zinc, giving them a relatively uniform, lighter red color. But a small number of coins show a deep copper tone, a richer hue that closely resembles the earlier solid copper cents of the pre-1982 era. This striking coloration can result from a few factors: slight variations in the plating process, environmental storage conditions, or even transitional planchets accidentally used at the mint. Some numismatists believe these copper-toned 1988 cents could be remnants of leftover planchets, creating an unexpected and valuable anomaly. And collectors? They're taking notice. Online forums, auction houses, and dealer networks are actively tracking down these pieces, especially in high grades or with strong luster. The visual appeal of the copper color sets these pennies apart, instantly recognizable to the trained eye and nearly impossible to forget once seen. Now let's talk numbers, because this is where things get serious. While ordinary 1988 no mint mark pennies might fetch a few cents above face value, examples with rich copper color, near-perfect surfaces, or unique die characteristics have sold for impressive sums. In 2023, one collector paid over $1,500 for a copper-toned 1988 penny in MS67 red condition. Another rare example featuring a transitional reverse die, originally meant for a 1989 cent, sold for nearly $3,000. These aren't rare one-off sales. Auction platforms like Heritage and eBay continue to list verified, graded coins fetching hundreds to thousands depending on condition and uniqueness. The demand is real. The prices are rising. And the supply? Shrinking every day as collectors scoop up the finest examples and lock them away. So how can you tell if you're holding one of these rare 1988 treasures? Start by checking for the absence of a mint mark. That confirms it was struck in Philadelphia. Next, study the color. True copper-toned examples often appear richer, darker, and more vibrant than their zinc-based counterparts. Look closely under natural light. The weight is also a clue. If you suspect it's a transitional copper planchet, weigh it. It should come in around 3.1 grams compared to 2.5 grams for standard zinc pennies. Preservation is critical. If you believe you've found one, handle it with gloves or by the 8 edges only. Place it in a soft flip or a rigid holder immediately. Then, consider having it professionally graded by PCGS or NGC. Grading can multiply the value dramatically. In the world of coin collecting, true opportunities don't come around often. But the 1988 Lincoln penny with no mint mark and that unmistakable copper shade is one of them. It's not just a piece of American history. It's a hidden investment, quietly growing in value as more people learn the truth. Collectors aged 30 to 70 are realizing that what they thought was just spare change may actually be part of a disappearing class of collectible coins. As awareness grows, so does the urgency. These copper beauties aren't just appreciated, they're hunted. And once the finest examples are absorbed into private collections, finding one will become exponentially harder. So take action now. Go through your change, your old coin jars, and those forgotten drawers. Because that 1 penny, the one you almost spent, could be the very coin that turns your curiosity into cash. Don't let this moment pass. The copper coin revolution is here, and it's starting with a penny from 1988. There's a copper-toned Lincoln penny from 1994 that's quietly changing hands for hundreds, and in rare cases, even thousands, of dollars. It looks ordinary to the untrained eye, yet it's turning up in change jars, old drawers, and forgotten piggy banks across America. And here's the kicker. It doesn't even have a mint mark. That's right. No mint mark, no silver, no gold. Just a humble, copper-shaded coin from the 1990s that's suddenly become one of the most talked-about pieces among collectors. But what makes this unassuming 1994 Lincoln penny with no mint mark so incredibly valuable? And why are serious coin hunters racing to find one in the elusive copper color shade? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you may be running to check your own coin collection. The truth behind this penny is more surprising than you think. To understand why the 1994 Lincoln penny without a mint mark is capturing so much attention, we need to step back for a moment and explore its roots. This coin comes from the long-standing Lincoln cent series, first introduced in 1909 to commemorate Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. The Lincoln Memorial Reverse, which graced the back of these pennies from 1959 to 2008, became a familiar sight in every American's pocket. But what most people forget is that by 1982, the composition of these coins changed forever. Prior to that year, Lincoln pennies were made from 95% copper. Afterward, to cut costs, the U.S. Mint shifted to a predominantly zinc core with only a thin copper plating. By 1994, all pennies were officially zinc-based. However, something unusual began to surface in recent years. Collectors started noticing that some 1994 pennies, specifically those with no mint mark, meaning they were minted in Philadelphia, displayed a deeper, richer copper color. This wasn't just natural toning from age. These coins had a hue that closely resembled pre-1982 copper cents. And that's where things get interesting. So, how did this happen? Experts believe that a very small batch of 1994 cents may have accidentally been struck using leftover copper planchets or planchets with an unusually thick copper layer. Others suggest a minting anomaly or a deliberate trial piece slipped into general circulation. Regardless of the cause, these copper-shaded 1994 no mint mark pennies are not supposed to exist in this form, and that's precisely why they've become so valuable. Now let's talk value. It's one thing for a coin to be rare, it's another for it to command real money on the collector market. Over the last 5 years, several verified examples of the 1994 Lincoln penny with a deep copper appearance have sold for stunning amounts. In high-grade uncirculated condition, PCGS has graded examples that fetched upwards of $300. One particularly eye-catching specimen with exceptional luster and a rich copper tone sold at auction for just over $1,000. That's right, 1 cent, turned into a 4-figure treasure. Even circulated examples with clear copper toning and minimal wear are being listed for $50 to $150 on popular coin marketplaces. And here's what's pushing these prices even higher: scarcity and visual appeal. Collectors aren't just buying these coins for their rarity. They're buying them because they look and feel like the old-school copper pennies they grew up with. Something they can see and instantly connect with. That emotional pull is powerful. Combine that with low supply, and you have the perfect storm for a market breakout. So how can you tell if your 1994 penny is one of these rare, valuable finds? Start by weighing it. A regular 1994 penny made from zinc weighs 2.5 grams. A copper-based penny should weigh around 3.11 grams. That difference may seem small, but it's crucial. Next, examine the color under natural light. A copper-shade penny will have a deeper, more matte tone than the brighter red of modern zinc cents. Also, look for signs of exceptional strike quality or unusual luster. These are often clues that a coin is outside the norm. If you believe you have one of these pennies, do not clean it. Cleaning can destroy a coin's value instantly. Instead, store it in a soft coin flip or capsule, away from air and moisture. And if the color and weight seem promising, consider submitting it to a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC for authentication. A certified grade can transform a suspicious penny into a documented asset, and that's where the real value lies. In a world of uncertainty, smart collectors are turning their attention to tangible assets with historical value and rising demand. The 1994 Lincoln penny with no mint mark and a rich copper appearance is one such asset. It's scarce, it's desirable, and it's already proving to be a powerful investment for those lucky enough to recognize it early. The big question now is, do you have one hiding in your collection? Because if you do, you might be holding onto a small piece of metal with a very big future. Don't underestimate this penny. What looks like pocket change today could very well be a high-demand collectible tomorrow. And the next time you see a copper-colored coin from 1994 with no mint mark, don't pass it by. That tiny detail could be your gateway to a major numismatic discovery.